Welcome to Hit 'em High. Today, here presented by Kingsmark Cabinets. My name is Seth Joyner, coming at you live from the Parks Casino Hotel with my co-host over here, my brother Everett Terry, my brother Kyrie Terrell. We just got two rules on Hit 'em High. We want you to engage. Engage with us on Facebook.
That's right.
Send us your questions, your responses, and whatnot will be, well, the best responses, I should say. We'll take it, we'll read it on air, and we'll comment on it.
I'm ready, I'm waiting.
The second thing is caring and sharing. This month, for every share, we're going to donate $1 to a local foundation. That foundation for the month of September is the Malcolm Jenkins Foundation.
Wow.
So share our show, comment on our show, send questions to our show, get involved. Gentlemen, let's jump into it.
All right.
So, Philadelphia Eagles go down to Atlanta on Sunday Night Football.
Yes.
And it kind of looked like, body bag game all over again, but in reverse for the Philadelphia Eagles. Tough loss. Feel like the Eagles were right there with an opportunity to come back and win this football game. A lot of things transpired during the game, a lot of major injuries, a lot of shakeup as far as, play calling was concerned. And it was just a tough loss for the Philadelphia Eagles last night.
Right.
But the silver lining is it's just week 2. They're
Just
one
week
and
2.
they're 1-1, and all is not lost. So it's I'd rather have this situation at this point of the season where you have the Eagles faltering like this with an opportunity to rectify the situation, rather than having, this happen towards the end of the season, this being a game that you need to get into the playoffs or for the seeding in the playoffs.
Well, what you saw in this game is you saw two different teams. One that was in a desperation mode because Atlanta playing in the NFC South. This was a must-win. You go 0-2 in that division, chances are your playoff chances are shot. The other thing is, well, and that too. The other thing that you saw is you saw where Atlanta made adjustments. And the Eagles didn't necessarily adjust. We talked last week about running the ball with Jordan Howard. How many yards did Jordan Howard have yesterday? How many touches did Jordan Howard have yesterday? You don't play to the strengths of your team. If you know that you're losing receivers left and right, you should absolutely be pounding the ball. Arguments were, hey, the Eagles have a great offensive line. Okay, so show it. Give Jordan Howard the ball, let him run up that gut, exploiting the weaknesses in the Atlanta Falcons, so that they have speed rushers, but they are susceptible to the run. We saw them get ran over last week by Dalvin Cook, and the Eagles didn't run.
Right. I mean, the Eagles don't have a Dalvin Cook to run that ball. I definitely agree Jordan Howard should have saw more touches. I definitely agree the O-line needed to step up. But I'm going to tell you what I saw last night, Seth. I saw a team that just wanted it more, especially in the trenches. On the offensive side and the defensive side, it just seemed like the Falcons were outplaying our lines. That's what I saw. That was the difference for me.
That might be the case, but Matt Ryan did everything possible to give the Eagles a chance to win this game. Those 3 interceptions last night. And at the end of the day, I think if you go back and you look at how the game started, I think the Eagles was completely out of sync before the game even started. It came down, we got the news that Dallas Goedert was going to be out. Okay, one of the most important formational sets that the Eagles use is 12 personnel, 1 tight end, one back, 2 tight ends. That was completely scrubbed. So now when an offensive coordinator begins to script his first 15 plays, it's with the thought in mind that you're going to have your full complement of receivers and tight ends and running backs.
Right.
And you only got 2 tight ends on the entire roster to begin with. And now, before you even get started, you got to go in and you got to reshuffle your entire game plan. I think the adjustment should have been to take Dillard and put him at tight end in your 12 personnel situations, at least for the running game. That would have gave them strength to be able to run the football, and you could have committed to running the football. And in the passing game, hey, you might not be able to get 5 guys out into the route, but you can get 3 guys, you can get 4 guys out into the route with maximum protection with an extra lineman at tight end to help with the blocking. But again, I don't understand. I get you draft a Miles Sanders in the 2nd round, okay, and you want to make sure that people know that this guy is a player that's going to be a big part of our future. But in my opinion, right now, he's not ready. He's not ready to be the guy that carries the load when you've got a Jordan Howard who's an established running back in this league,
And a contract
who knows
year.
how to play and get it done. I watched Miles Sanders last night take some balls that were meant to be hit up inside, meant to be hit up, inside the tackle, and he tried to bounce it outside against a fast flow defense. And that's problematic. That's problematic because when you've got 2nd and 3 and you got 3 yards right there in front of you and you try to bounce it outside and make something bigger happen instead of taking what the defense is giving you, that's problematic because what happens is you get stuffed and now it's 3rd and 4 instead of a first down, and now we don't convert on 3rd down and we're off the field with a punt.
Why don't the Eagles run one running back and then spell that running back? It seems like even before we saw Doug Peterson, it seems like they always have one guy in for a drive, then you see another guy in for another drive. Even if that guy was getting off, you still all of a sudden he's not injured, but he's out of the game. Any idea why that is?
Well, they say that they are running back by committee.
Yep.
And I believe that, and there's nothing wrong with that philosophy.
Most teams do it.
But I think where they get themselves into trouble is that, as time goes on, you can begin to break down the Eagles' offense. And in my opinion, they've got certain packages for certain players. And within those packages are certain plays. So whatever it is that they want to run, they put certain guys in with certain packages. So if I'm a defensive coordinator, what can I do? I can begin to break you down after 2 or 3 weeks, and I can systematically tell you that this is what they're going to run when Miles Sanders is in the game, and this is what they like to run when Jordan Howard is in the game, and this is what they like to run when Darren Sproles is in the game, and that's problematic.
Predictability matters in the NFL, and I understand running back by committee because a lot of teams do it. But the thing is, if guys, like you said, are specialists who only are in for certain things, that then eliminates the fact that, hey, there's no element of surprise to your offense. Now, you made mention that Matt Ryan did a lot to try to give the game away, but we just going to skip past the fact that Carson Wentz had 2 ugly interceptions in the game and literally turned the ball over for no reason at all. Those weren't like, they were ugly interceptions.
Let me insert Tim Mahoney's question really quick because I know you're going to hit on it. He says, why are the DBs consistently playing 8 to 10 yards off of the wide receivers? So we talking about interceptions. DBs are the guys that get interceptions. Any reason why they playing 8 to 10 off?
Hey, that's the way they're coached. I mean, I've looked at that and I've found that to be problematic. Ever since Jim Schwartz has been here, ever since Corey Underlin has been the DB coach. You've got to be able to show, in my opinion, quarterbacks different looks, even receivers different looks. You move up, you move back. There's things that you do to try to throw off the flow of the game. But if you're going to play 7-8 yards off, and most of the time what you see is one cornerback is up, one wide cornerback is up, and one is off. A lot of times you see the Eagles and both of them are 7-8 yards off the ball. Well, that's just inviting on 1st and 2nd down a wide receiver group like that to say, okay, we'll take the speed out. If you're going to give us 5 to 7 yards, we'll take that, and we'll take that 2nd and 3, that 3rd and 3 situation if you're willing to give that up. But a coach once told me, that what you see on the football field is either something that's being coached or it's something that's being allowed. And that's problematic because which one is it? We'll never know because we're on the outside looking in, but I think it's a combination of both. I think they're coached to not give up the big play, and I think sometimes when they're fundamentally flawed in their fundamentals and their technique, that they're allowed to play that way.
All I know is that for Darby Speed being 8 to 10 off the ball, he was getting cooked. He was Cinnamon Toast Crunch every time you saw him.
I will tell you
Robert
this.
Mink, Darby can't cover in his sleep, consistently getting burned. They exploited him last night.
Fast for nothing.
Listen, I would say this, and I mentioned this, last night in the post-game show. I seen Ronald Darby when I was an intern in Buffalo, Rex Ryan's last year. He was there. Stephon Gilmore was there. Okay, Stephon Gilmore signed a $63 million contract with the Patriots. I was shocked by that. But that goes to show how good of a cornerback he is. Ronald Darby was just as good as Gilmore, Stephon Gilmore, that year. The fundamental difference is that Ronald Darby is an in-your-face, know what I got, lock you up type of cornerback. In this system, they never play him like that. He's always off the ball. He's always off inside, giving up the out route. He's always off outside, giving up the inside routes.
Right.
And then he's always chasing. And consequently, in my opinion, what happens is he's caught in no man's land because he doesn't know what kind of route that guy's running. If I'm up on you, now I got an opportunity to force you to release one way if I got you man to man. Now I can predictably cover you. And to me, he's not a fit. His skill sets don't fit the way that the Eagles like to play.
So ET said that we weren't using our strengths on offense. It sounds like you're saying you also see us not playing our strengths on defense.
Well, for him, he's the type of guy that needs to be up with a defined instruction on what he's supposed to do on each and every play. I think when you get him in the gray area, that's when he's kind of in no man's land, and he's kind of nervous about being off. He plays better from an up position, from a more defined situation.
So the interceptions, we went a different way, but you saw Carson Wentz throw some ugly interceptions.
Yep.
We all did. You get access to the all 22, right? Because I watching TV, I ain't know what the hell was going on either. I'm gonna tell you right now that second one, especially the first one, was like a punt.
Right.
But that second one, Trufant slipping to his.
He was sitting on the ground.
Where was the ball going?
Hey, listen, I will say this. I watched Jim Schwartz turn up the blitz last night.
I
was extremely happy about that. On the other side of the ball, you saw the Atlanta Falcons turn up the pass rush last night.
Oh, hell yeah.
Vic Beasley got after it. Yeah.
And the comment that I make is the greatest equalizer in football. I don't care whether you're talking about at the elite pro level, the NFL level, or you're talking about the little 8-9-year-olds, that I've coached before. Pressure is the great equalizer in the game of football, okay, from a defensive standpoint. Carson was getting battered and beaten, and there was a couple of times where guys were around him, but they weren't close, and he was kind of doing one of these.
Right.
The Eli Manning.
When you start beating a quarterback up like that, now his confidence in the pocket becomes shaken.
It was the first time I saw him shaking. He looked shaken.
Because when you get hit like that, get hit in the ribs, get hit in the chops, get cut down below. I mean, all of those things play on your psyche. And I can tell you, for a guy who, is coming back off of some substantial injuries, an ACL, a broken back, okay? If you don't think that those hits begin to play on his mind, and then Doug Peterson getting pass heavy, throwing the ball 49 times and only running it 29 times, didn't help Carson. I think he could have helped Carson by pounding the football, going to some play action passing, establishing the running game, and everybody said, well, my goodness, we ran the ball 18 times, we only had 50-something yards. But the running game is something it has to be committed to. I looked at it, I wrote down a stat last night. On average in the first half, I think we possessed the ball 5 times in the first half. We had an average of 7.4 plays per possession, okay? On average, we ran the ball 2 times per possession. That doesn't work when a team is teeing off on you and you can't protect your quarterback. Okay, you've got to be more balanced in that situation, and you've got to figure out a way to commit to the run and give Carson Wentz the opportunity that when he needs to throw the ball, that he can A, count on his offensive line, and B, that the defense itself is going to honor the fact that when you stick that ball out play action wise, that they're going to freeze and give you that extra second for routes to develop down the field. The last thing is, I heard Doug Peterson say last night, it's nice to get the underneath stuff, but at some point you got to push the ball down the field. Disagree. I 100% disagree. What does Tom Brady do? Take 5, take 2, take 3. First down. Take 2, take 4, take 7. First down. They systematically take what the defense is given, they move the ball down the field, and nothing's wrong with getting in position to get 7 or get 3 on every single possession. You do not have to force the ball down the field. You take what the defense is giving you, you get a lead, and when you force them to do some things defensively that they don't want to do, like blitz on that last play, now you hit them. Now you go down the field. Now you push the ball. Now you go max protection and you go downfield.
You should have played football, man. You're pretty good at this stuff. ET, anything to come up off of that?
Listen, I'll say this. Pushing the ball, taking it, staying close, getting the ball downfield, all of that's great. You got to have guys that's going to catch The ball.
Well, that's the name of the damn show today. Is
Gotta
catch the
catch
damn
the
ball.
ball.
Let's catch the damn ball.
You can throw wherever you want, but if Nelson Aguilar is dropping a streaming touchdown route
I'm
wide
not-
open down the sidelines, the next guy was 5 yards behind him and he drops it. I felt like it was 2016 all over again.
I knew you were
Listen.
going there, and I know everybody, listening to radio and
You
news
better not be
today.
about to defend no Nelson
Oh
Aguilar.
yeah, I am. Yeah, I am.
better not-
You want to know why? Let me pose this question to you guys. Okay, so in week 2 of the season, you want to crucify Nelson Aguilar for dropping the ball that he should have caught. I agree.
A touchdown.
Okay, but then he comes back. He comes back on 4th and 14 and catches the ball. That puts us in position to actually win the game.
But he was the reason it was
wait a
4th
minute.
and
Wait a
14.
minute. Wait a minute. And if Carson Wentz puts some air under it, that one is a touchdown.
I'll give you that.
Okay, so now let's rewind it back. Let's go to the divisional round last year when Alshon Jeffrey dropped the ball
he got killed for
Wait,
that.
wait. We ain't trying to kill him the way they killing Nelson today.
Nah, he
Because
got
he
it
got
after that
killed.
game,
He
Seth.
got killed for dropping.
Hey,
that.
listen,
He got it after that game.
he got it, but he ain't get it the way that we're trying to kill.
You know what the
But
real
he also
reason? You
don't
know what
have
the
the
real reason is? Beside the history, the real reason is Alshon Jeffrey didn't come out and complain. Hey, I wasn't targeted as much as Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey last week.
He
I
didn't-
want more targets. You can't ask for the ball and
He
then
didn't
get
say
the ball
that.
and not know what to do with
He
it.
didn't say
He
that.
did complain about not getting as many targets.
That was a conversation that transpired between Deshaun Jackson and Nelson Aguilar. He didn't stand in front of the podium or any receiver last week and say that. Deshaun decided to share that. Yeah, if I'm playing and the guy I'm playing next to, the linebacker, he's got 2 interceptions and 2 sacks and 15 tackles, yeah, I'm feeling some type of way too. That's the competitive side of me. Do you want him to not be that way? Absolutely. Okay? But let me tell you something. I don't care how good they are. I don't care how great they are. I don't care how productive they've been. Okay? Every receiver in the game has dropped the ball. Every defensive player has missed a crucial tackle. I've lost games. I've made plays to win games. Okay? It's just a part of it. It's better for it to happen now, for him to be able to grow from it, for him to be able to get better from it. It's better for it to happen now than for it to happen down the road. It's better for the Eagles to lose this game the way they lost last night now than it is for it to happen down the road. That's just the truth of the matter.
Perry List is on your side. He says Nelson dropped the game winner, but truthfully, he was the only receiver who played well last night. He stepped up.
Didn't really have much else to go to.
I'm
Matt
between
Collins,
that. So, somebody else, Dejon Moore, he says Sayamalo. Quite a few penalties last night. I wouldn't trust him either.
I would say this to you. It's time for the Philadelphia Eagles to take Jason Peters and move him to left guard and insert
Andre
Dillard at left tackle. Okay, what I witnessed from Sayamalu last night is incomprehensible. I mean, dude gave up six pressures, 2 sacks,
It was bad.
3 penalties
On good plays.
and just got manhandled on every play, even plays where he got help, even plays where Jason Kelsey was doubling.
Brady Jarrett is a monster, though.
Listen, I don't care,
is a
man.
monster.
I
You don't
don't
get beat
care.
like
You
that,
can't
though.
get beat like a war drum every single play, okay? And you can't put your quarterback in a situation that, listen, football's about fight. You know, you can
Agreed.
beat me one play, but you ain't gonna beat my ass every play.
He had
My
nothing.
manhood just ain't gonna allow that to
Nothing.
happen. And when I watched Sayamalu last night, he played like he knew he was outmatched, and there was no fight in him,
He had a
and
skirt
that's
on.
problematic.
He definitely was wearing a skirt underneath his
I
pants
ain't talking about no Lula
last
skirt
night.
either.
No, I ain't either. Oh man, good discussion, man. ET, we gotta talk about Kingsmark Cabinets, our sponsor.
All right, so today's show is brought to you by Kingsmark Cabinets, your go-to team for kitchen and bathroom remodeling, as well as custom cabinetry, and more importantly, customer service fit for a king. Make sure you visit them at kingsmarkcabinets.com, as well as on Facebook and Instagram at Kingsmark Cabinets.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, ET. So there was a play last night we all saw. It was the last Eagles play on offense where Zach Ertz, no yak Zach, couldn't get 1 more yard. And Seth's here at the whiteboard to tell us how that play broke down.
Listen, there were so many plays that transpired last night that we could break down at this whiteboard. From the last play, the all-out zero blitz, and Julio taking it 50-something yards. But this play right here has gotten a lot of talk. And I tweeted last night in game, I said, I don't understand for the life of me why receivers in third and fourth down situations, don't run the route to the line of game or past the line of game. Okay, I'm going to defend Zach Ertz today because you know what? Last night, dude played his behind off as the only tight end in the game, played every single play. But I want people to understand what transpires in route running that caused him not to be able to convert this third down. Okay, this is the line of game. It's 4th and 8. Okay, he actually gained 7 yards. Now you have to understand that when you're running this hook route, is what he ran. You are coached to run the route and then work back towards the quarterback. Exactly what he did. Okay. What he needs to do was run the route and sit down right there so when he caught the ball. But this right here is ingrained. This is the way that they're coached. That tight end is coached to get to your 10 mark, your 10-yard mark, and then work your way back to the ball. Carson hits him with the ball at 10. He's working back. He gets tackled a yard short. Sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Now, how do they remedy this? Communication before the play. Hey, I'm going to run it at 10 and sit down instead of working back. I'm going to work to 12 and work back to 10. However they got to get it done, they got to figure out how to rectify this. You see this happen in the NFL week in and week out, where guys get to the marker and work back to the ball, and as they work back to the ball, they work themselves a yard short of the first down. Guys.
No yak Zach, man. I feel like he could have kept them legs chug-a-lugging a little bit. I think, you see online they sell the little springs that go behind your knee so that you can lift heavier stuff. I don't know if they legal in the NFL, but I wish Zach Ertz would get some of those, because what I see every time, he had a play earlier in the game, was 3 guys in front of him, he falls to his back. There's nothing behind you. Why aren't you trying to stay on your feet? I didn't see enough fight out of him on that last play. Now, I know it was a good tackle made, but he got to.
I think.
And on top of that, he also pulled back before the hit, so he didn't stretch his arms out at all. Who
well,
knows
he
if he stretched?
He did late.
He couldn't stretch. I mean, he kind of went like this to stretch the ball, but another defender was coming. And if he stretches the ball without his knees down, and that guy slaps the ball out, I mean, it's the same
Game's
result.
over either way, but at least he's trying.
That's a reaction.
Right.
You know, he's got the ball, and he's realized he might be a half a yard short. So when he goes to stretch, he sees the guy. So the reaction is, I can't put it out there. He pulls it back. And people online and on Twitter and on and Instagram, they was like, well, why did he stretch the ball? You got to understand, in the moment,
it's easy
in
for
the
us to
heat
say,
of the
right.
moment, it's easy for us to say, oh, he should have did that. But that's a bang play. It's a reaction play, and I don't fault him one bit for doing it. The adjustment has to be is he's got to figure out, okay, how do I get past the line of game and sit down? Or how do I get 2 yards past the line of game and then work back? Okay, I mean, it's a critical play.
Only reason I beat Zach up, man, is he's literally no yak Zach. So it's like a play like that, what else we expect from
Listen,
him,
you're
man?
asking essentially a possession wide receiver to be a tight end. He doesn't block well, okay? He can get open because he's got speed.
Right.
He runs like, you know, a slower wide receiver, but the physicality isn't there. It's never going to be there because if he was going to be that physical tight end, don't you think we would have seen that progression by now?
He'd be Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert's a physical tight end.
Good point. We got to bounce around the NFL really quick for some notables. We got Drew Brees got hurt, broken thumb.
Yeah.
They're saying 6 weeks for him. I think that's going to be more like 10. We got AB, Antonio Brown, finally playing for the Patriots. Put up a good game. Some
Why you rolling your eyes, man?
We got some replay. This replay stuff is crazy with these penalties. And then Big Ben just reported out for the season. So topics y'all want to touch on, man?
Well, the replay part of it. How do the Saints, again, with replay, get screwed on a call? That was a fumble.
Ref
it was
blew
a
dead.
fumble all day.
Well, I think what's going to have to happen is the NFL is going to have to review their, the whistle blew and killed the play. Okay? I mean, the proper thing to do in that case, in that situation, is to let it play itself out and then go to replay to rectify it.
Yep.
But to say, the whistle was blown when you don't,
You don't know what's going on.
Nobody heard
Right.
that whistle to stop, you know? I mean, the players are playing. That's what they're coached to do that. Play the play out, and we'll hash it out and figure it out, you know, with the replay and after the fact. But the fact that, you know, they're saying, oh, we blew it dead, come on, man. At some point in time, they've got to fix that.
I want y'all to share the show. Make sure if you're enjoying this content, you're a fan of the Eagles, you love you some Seth Joyner, or you love you some Kyrie Terrell, you know, because I'm up there too. Share the show. And don't forget, every share is worth $1. Sharing is caring. People, for every share that you guys do today, we're going to donate $1 to the Malcolm Jenkins Foundation. We're going to be doing that all month, so make sure y'all share the show.
He's going to leave you
If
out,
nothing else, sharing my misery that my Dolphins stink,
Yeah,
and we might not score 30 points this year, like whatever.
Can't tie my shoes when it comes to dressing, and neither can my Miami Dolphins. I was about to call them my dammy. That's probably what you call them. Damn!
Okay. I want to know why you was rolling your eyes at the whole AB thing.
I think that the way he went about it, if he wanted to go to New England, he did it wrong. He went about that wrong. Listen, you go to social
investigation
media.
now, right?
It is, because now they're thinking that it could be tampering. Like, listen,
They'll never be able to prove
they'll
it.
never be able to prove it because Belichick is smarter than everybody else in the room. Okay, so be it. But I get that you want to leave Pittsburgh. I get it. I get that you want to stick it to him. Fine. Okay. You went to the Raiders. You played like you wanted to be there. You were excited. Then you start all this drama about stuff that had nothing to do with football. Then come back, try to make it about football. Then go on this tirade and this thing with the wiretapping. And you work your way out to turn around and sign with New England, a rival that you hated literally as a Pittsburgh fan the bulk of your career, because how many Super Bowls did they stop you guys from? You know, and now you go and not only do you play there, you're, quote, happy to be there. He's a fraud to me.
Let me ask you this question. What great wide receiver in the NFL wouldn't want to play for Tom Brady and Bill Belichick? That's the first thing. The second thing is he always wanted to go to New England.
Agree.
But there was no way in hell, there wasn't a snowball's chance in hell that the Pittsburgh Steelers was going to trade him to the New England Patriots, their arch rival, okay? They couldn't beat him with AB. You think they're going to trade him to that guy, that one team that's stopping them from getting to where they want to go?
Right.
That wasn't going to happen, okay? So I believe that AB was happy to be in Oakland until things started going sideways.
But that was his fault.
Be that as it
May have
may,
been his doing, though.
That's what I'm saying.
Be that as it may, there's always another side to a situation. Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you think Jerry Jones fined Zeke Elliott after he signed his contract for missing all that time?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so why in the world would Mike Mayock find that kid? And just when things are starting to smooth over, $40,000, $50,000 worth of fines, is that really that important to ignite that fire all over again? Okay, so when things started going sideways because of the interaction, and trust me, I'm not on AB's side as far as how he handled it, but it is how it is. I'm going to tell you how it transpired. When things started going sideways, what AB did was, okay, this ain't going to work out. Okay, I got an opportunity, Drew Rosenhaus, to go where I want to go. Okay, if things ain't going to work out, get on the phone with Bill Belichick. What's Bill Belichick going to say? Oh, we wanted him anyway. We offered a first rounder for him, and Pittsburgh wound up, trading him to Oakland for a third-round pick. Okay, so we can get him. Yeah, we still want him because we got some major questions at wide receiver.
They do.
So Bill's like, hey, you know what? I can't touch it, but if you can get him free, we'll take him. Drew Rosenhaus, Antonio Brown went to work.
Sat in the room and just
They
figured
went
out
to
a
work,
way.
man.
They jumping in some murky waters, but like you said, I don't think they're gonna ever prove any tampering.
Can't prove.
And AB got a bigger fish to fry now, but that wasn't on the paper, so we ain't gonna talk about that.
Touche.
Drew Brees, man, broken thumb. What y'all thinking?
4 to 6 weeks.
Does that take New Orleans out of contention?
In the right hand, 4 to 6 weeks. I agree with you. It's more like 10 weeks because it'll take 4 to 6 weeks just for it to heal.
Right.
For him to be able to get enough strength in his hand to
Exactly.
hold the ball and control the football, it might be another 4 to 6 weeks, before that happens. Hey, listen, everybody gets bitten by the injury bug. I mean, you look at all the guys that are hurt at the quarterback position, and this whole theory, and not just the quarterback position. Look at how many players went out for the Eagles and how many other players around the league got hurt yesterday. I will contend and I will continue to say that I think the NFL and the NFLPA have got it wrong when it comes to how you practice for training camp and how you approach the preseason. The preseason and and training camp is set up for guys to get physically and mentally prepared for the regular season. they don't practice hard enough during training camp
Lot less hitting,
to
lot less
simulate
contact
anything. No contact, no real hitting, no real tackling, and all of a sudden you get into the throes of a game when they really matter, week 1, week 2, and guys are now sustaining these soft tissue injuries, these major injuries. I just think that, the timing is off. Physically, they're not ready. Physically, they're not prepared. Even mentally, they're not prepared. Because you can go through the paces, but nothing prepares you for football like playing the game of football. And when you sit guys the entire preseason and they don't play, in my opinion, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah. And I work with football players all the time. One of my guys in the league right now, he recently said he never gets used to the hitting. So, less of it ain't going to help you do that at all.
We agree.
Big Ben broke his elbow.
He's done for the year.
I don't know if it's a broken elbow, but elbow surgery.
Yeah, elbow surgery. He's out for the year, which ends Pittsburgh's season, which, based on what you saw, was kind of over anyway.
I don't think they.
I think they're at the end of an era.
It just continues to get bad for him. Kyle Rudolph came in and played really well yesterday for them. Mason Rudolph played really well for them yesterday and gave them a chance to win.
They're going to see what he can do.
But long term, Pittsburgh is in a crunch, man. I mean, when you lose 2 top flight players like AB and Le'Veon Bell, listen, Juju's nice. Juju's nice.
He's a 2.
But he ain't AB.
He's a 2.
Okay?
He's a 2.
James Conner's nice. But he ain't AB. Okay.
That's my fantasy team. He ain't Le'Veon.
So and then when you lose your starting quarterback, the face of the franchise, I mean, I'm kind of concerned for how this is going to play out for Mike Tomlin, because he's got to be on the hot seat. Got to be.
It might work in his favor because he doesn't have the weapons. They might let him retool and come back.
And people are kind of seeing what kind of person AB was, and man, he must be Coach of the Year to have kept all that under wraps, because AB been crazy before just now.
True indeed.
I mean, he managed to keep that all together. Le'Veon's health has always been a question mark. If he stays healthy, all that stuff to look at. Do I think it hurts Tomlin? Not just yet. I think they need to see what he does and what the pieces do and what they look like. But I do think that them being a contender in the AFC North is done. I think the Ravens are ascending. I think the Bengals and everybody else is kind of, the Browns, we don't know what they are yet. But I think the Browns and the Ravens are probably ascending, and everybody else is descending. So
they're going to have to retool for sure. Seth, you interested in a new job?
Doing what?
Defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles. Apparently, Kunta Kinte Irvin says he would love for Seth to be our DC. What's up, man?
I hear that all the time, man.
You get great hair.
It's unrealistic. I hear it all the time, but it's really unrealistic. In the big picture of things. Could I do it?
Because you trying to be head coach.
No,
he right.
No, hey, listen. First of all, I love what I do.
Okay.
I love talking football. Second of all, in order for me to leave, the broadcasting world and go into coaching, it has to be the right situation. With the right.
You ain't say no, Kenta.
With the right coaches and the right opportunity. And the other thing is, let's be realistic. If I've never been a linebacker coach, it's highly unlikely I'm going to become a DC just like that. But in my mind, can I do it? Absolutely. I've been around some of the greatest defensive minds that the game has ever seen. I played for Buddy Ryan, great defensive mind. I played for Bud Carson, great defensive mind. I played for Jeff Fisher at different points in time, great defensive mind. I played for Fritz Sherman. A lot of people don't know a lot about Fritz Sherman, one of the greatest defensive minds that the NFL has ever seen. So there's not a defense, there's not a front, there's not a coverage, there's not a blitz that I haven't seen, and that I haven't. We were running zone blitzes way back in the day before they even dubbed them zone blitzes. So there's a lot about the defensive side of the ball that I get. I understand technique and fundamentals. I played every position in an NFL game, every position with the exception of free safety. Okay, so if I can do that, that means I must know a little something about those different positions. So in my mind, I think I would be a good coach. But the opportunity would have to be the right opportunity for me to leave what I'm truly loving doing right now and commit 18 hours a day of my life to doing that. Because when you become
stress.
Yeah, when you become a coach, that's what it is.
I hear that. Well, it seems to be a fair bet that you might see Seth Joyner coaching one day. He didn't rule it out. And if you love betting as much as we do, we down here at the Sports Book at Parx Casino, and we're going to take a word from our sponsors right now.
What a night.
The new Parx Casino $10 million sportsbook changes everything. It's a whole new ballgame at Parx Casino. Watch every single game and sporting event you want on our custom-built 154-foot wide, $1.5 million screen, capable of showing 36 events at once. Bet all the hot action and enjoy tap after tap of amazing craft beer, cocktails, and pub food favorites. Your entire game day destination is here for you and your friends. Sportsbook, beer garden, and Liberty Bell Gastropub. Parx Casino. Bet with the best.
All right, so last week we talked about the Eagles, the money line, the point spread, the over-under. This week we're going to keep it really simple. I'm going to tell you right now the opening line, again, it's Monday, so it could change. Guys are injured. That always impacts the line. The opening line is at 8.5. So you've got 8.5, which means that the Eagles are coming into this game as minus 8.5 point favorites versus the Lions. The Lions aren't a great team, so that seems like a moderately fair bet to place. They are 2-0. They're feeling really good about themselves, but they have to come 2 Philadelphia to play. We don't know how the Lions are traveling. I mean, you like Kerryon Johnson. You know, Galladay looks like a guy that's going to have a field day against Ronald Darby. I mean, everybody is right now. Also, the over-under for the game is coming in at 49.5. So for this game, looking at how it's lined up, if it's me, I'm not going to play the over on that unless I know that the Eagles are healthy. You have to have Deshaun Jackson. You have to have Alshon Jeffrey, because if you don't have those weapons, you're going to see a game where they're going to struggle to put a lot of points up. Also for, again, the line, the Eagles at 8.5, again, all depends on health. If it's me, I wait until about maybe Friday, maybe Saturday, see where the line is. If the Eagles are healthy, I like the Eagles to cover. If not, then I absolutely go to Lions.
There you have it. Breaking down the bets. Good old ET. I took the over. Eagles Falcons. I was kind of mad we didn't get that last touchdown. It would have been a double win for me. The team would have won
the spread this year,
and I would have went up. So
that's why I
retooling to do and betting. Oh man, listen, we got to talk about our Kings marquees to next week's game, beating the Detroit Lions. One of you guys want to start? Y'all want me to jump in?
You know, look, my Kings marquee is, you know, the Eagles defensively did some great things. Jim Schwartz, I really love, you know, his approach to this game. He came out and determined that, you know, he had a pocket passer and he was going to pressure him in certain situations. And he picked different areas, and in my opinion, that worked to the defensive benefit, because for some reason or another, the defensive line is just not getting the pressure like they've done in the past.
They were supposed to be the strength going into this year.
Absolutely, and I think he's realizing that he's not getting out of those guys what he thought he was going to get. So he's got to blitz a little more. I think Matthew Stafford is the same kind of guy. He's a little more mobile than a Matt Ryan, but I still think that he's a guy that they need to come after. They need to put pressure on. And listen, Galloway had a heck of a day yesterday. They got to figure out how to get him under control, because really that's all they have offensively. I mean, he just went off on the Chargers yesterday. And if you can get one guy reined in, then that means that, hey, you can get some things done from a blitz perspective. You know, offensively, let's come out and run the football. Let's make the Detroit Lions prove that they can handle a run game. And let's give Carson Wentz the tools and the opportunity, because I'm telling you right now, Deshaun Jackson is not going to be 100% for this next game if he plays.
Don't say that, sir.
Alshon Jeffrey's ankle or foot or whatever it is not going to be 100%. We're pretty much going to look the same way next week as we looked at the end of this game.
Don't say that.
So these guys are going to have to step up, and Doug's going to have to call a different type of game in order for Carson to be successful and to give this. You got to put it on the offensive line. You can't put it on the quarterback any longer. You got to put it on the offensive line to get this done. And the only way they're going to get it done is to run the ball down Detroit's throat and go play action pass.
So sound like your Kings marquee is running the ball. That's just overall running the ball.
All of them.
Well, I
real
agree.
Quick, before you go, I want to know y'all Kings marquees too. So make sure you comment. I got a little bit of time to learn what's the keys to the game next week, y'all. And make sure you hashtag it Kings marquee to the game for me. Give our sponsor a little bit of love, all right? Share and comment the show. ET, what's your Kings marquee?
So I agree. Running is going to be critical. They have to run the ball. Detroit's strength is in their secondary. They've got some guys out there that can flat out cover, can flat out play, and the Eagles don't have the wide receivers if they're going in with the same core that they left this Atlanta field with. So they have to run the ball. On the other side of the ball, I think that they have to make Matt Stafford throw the ball a lot. The more he throws, the less accurate he becomes, the more mistakes he makes. That's not to say that you want to let Galladay run wild all over you, but he's got a guy in TJ Hockenson who a lot of people haven't heard about, who's a rookie who they drafted early in the draft, who had a monster week 1, didn't have as much of a game because the Chargers focused on him and kind of took him out of the game. That's the thing. They've got 2 weapons. They got Hockenson and they've got Galladay. They've still got Marvin Jones. Nobody's heard from him all season. You got to force Matt Stafford to throw a lot, though. He has erratic. He gets foot happy. He likes to force his arm to make throws that he shouldn't throw. That's where they'll have opportunities to make plays in the coverage and secondary and maybe get some takeaways. That's going to be key.
This is a team that the Philadelphia Eagles should beat.
Yes, indeed.
And coming off of the type of game that they played last night, they should be coming in hungry. They should be coming in, upset, pissed off, the same way, that the Atlanta Falcons came into this game last night. The Eagles should be approaching this game the same way. And nobody's going to feel sorry for them as far as the injuries and whatnot are concerned. They just got to figure out how to get it right and right the ship and move on. Because, listen, Dallas has got Miami this week. They can't afford to fall 2 games behind the Dallas Cowboys in the division. They got to continue to win, and they got to continue to keep pace with Dallas until they face Dallas face-to-face and hope that they're 100% and healthy, because right now, with the Saints falling off the way that they're going to fall off without Drew Brees, the preeminent teams right now are going to be the Rams, the Dallas Cowboys,
Green Bay Packers.
And I'm still not sold on the Green Bay Packers yet. I still need to see some more. And the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay.
So the Eagles are going to have to they're going to have to handle their business to win the division. They're going to have to handle their business.
I will say this: if the Eagles lose this game, the Cowboys win this division by 2 games.
That's a
2
stretch.
games.
Dejan Moore agrees that we should run the ball more. That's his King's Marquee. My King's Marquee is play call. I think I would like to see a slower, more structured, settled down play calling coming out of Dougie P, where, like you said, take what the defense is giving us. Let's stop trying these crazy, wacky plays, and let's just play some football. Let's run the ball. Let's throw the shots. Take the 2-3 yard throws. Let's. If we ain't got Alshon and Deshaun, it's gonna be hard.
Well, I think what you saw last night was in his comment is the Deshaun Jackson effect. Okay, you come out the first week and you just throwing bombs all over the place. Okay, so then quite naturally your thought. In your preparation, you feel like, hey, this is, so you get that false sense, where you got to understand football, every single game is a different game with different dynamics.
You know who understands that? Bill Belichick.
Absolutely. So you're going to have times you're going to have certain games where you're going to be able to stretch the field because teams are going to be stubborn enough to put Deshaun Jackson out there one-on-one or playing halves against a trip set that allows you to put stress, with 2 verticals on a halves safety. But then you're going to have teams that's not going to give you those types of things.
Right.
They're going to take those things away. And when you play a team like the Atlanta Falcons, who are primarily like the Seattle Seahawks, a cover 3 team, you got to take what they give you. If they give you 5 yards, take it. If they give you 7 yards, take it. There's nothing wrong with just matriculating the ball down the field and converting, first and second downs into first downs all over again and getting yourself 4 more downs. There's nothing wrong with this. There's nothing wrong with running the game. There's nothing wrong with shortening the game instead of having 10 to 12 possessions, shorten the game to 8 to 10 possessions. There's nothing in the world wrong with that. And Doug's got to realize that, hey,
I got a question for you.
It's okay.
Before we sign off, I got a question for you. This might be a new segment. Producers, if y'all listen up, this might be something we need to do on every show, right? Because we had a former NFL great sitting to my left right here, and the point that you're making right now is about game planning, right? Alex, we got 53 men in the room plus your coaches and everybody else, right? I mentioned that Belichick seems to be able to week have a game plan, and I heard you mention about adjustments during that game. So as a former player, how hard is it really to change your identity from week to week based on your opponent versus like Chip Kelly was notorious for, this is what we're going to do every week, this is my identity, you got to stop it. How hard is that really?
Well, I don't think you ever want to get to a point where you're changing your identity from week to week. There are certain elements to your game, like your running game, your short to intermediate game, your screen game, your bubble screen game. All of those things, that's what you work on in training camp. That's what you're preparing for. So you're not really changing your identity. It's like when you play against certain teams, like the Atlanta Falcons last year were ranked 30th against the run. If that's my mindset coming into this game, I'm not trying to get Carson Wentz into a shootout with Matt Ryan. There's no reason for Matt Ryan to throw the ball 43 times and Carson Wentz to throw the ball 43 times as well. There's nothing wrong with that. We talked about it, earlier in the show. Kirk Cousins last week threw the ball 10 times. And they ran the heck out of the ball.
Keep the brakes on.
Sometimes I think that, Doug Peterson kind of outthinks himself because against teams who are good against, that are really, really good against the pass, he'll try to force it. Instead of realizing that this team doesn't defend the run well, okay, so let's give them a steady dose. Let's steal their will. I can tell you, as a former defensive player, the worst feeling in the world is being on the field as a defensive player, and the opposing team is running the football, and there ain't a damn thing that you can do about it. I mean, your manhood is called into question because they're ripping you for 7-8 yards a pop, and there's nothing that you can do about it.
Who did you like that in your career?
Man, listen, we played against the Washington Redskins, and George Rogers had like 210 yards. The Redskins had like 275 yards rushing on us. And we got a turnover at the end of the game and won the game. But I can tell you, it feels like, it steals your confidence. When they're running the ball, they're running the ball, and you can't do anything to stop it.
They lining up in a run formation.
Okay, and they just saying, okay, we coming. I mean, the Redskins, they got that same play, counter O, counter Trey. And I mean, every time you see the two tight ends line up together on one side, they're gonna block down, and here come the puller. And like, here they come, and they run the damn thing 10, 15 times a game. And you know what? If they're gashing you with it, they'll run it twice here, flip the formation, run it the other way.
Oh man.
So my thing is, for Doug Peterson, you got to realize that, hey, you got a team that they're fast, but they're small. And we got a pretty big offensive line. Okay, let's go heavy personnel. Let's go smash mouth football. Let's take a page from the team that just beat them handily the week before and do the same thing. Let's see if they made the adjustments. Let's see if they can adjust. But what we did is we put the game in Carson Wentz's hands early by throwing the ball and only here and there, running the ball. And once we put their defensive line in the mindset, if they're not going to run it, let's just go get the quarterback. We'll play the run on the way to the quarterback. now you got problems.
Agreed.
Oh, man. Great discussion, man. I hope you guys all enjoy watching at home or in the car or wherever you're at. Make sure you share that show, and we'll be back next week with Hit 'em High with Seth Joyner, man. It's been a pleasure. You had a good time, E.T.?
Always.
I had a good time. Thanks for the knowledge and the
it.
learning. That's all the time we have on My New Philly, where something's always new and everything's always Philly. Hit 'em high.